Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So somebody was posting on Twitter that XRP is one of the best performing coins, or has been over the last several months. I mean, it has done well. I kind of wanted to check it out for myself, at least comparing it to some of the other top 10 coins. Here's XRP. As you guys can see here, the bottom of the market, and for many cryptocurrencies, they did see an inter-year low on June the 18th. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a price tool here real quickly. And as of the price today, we can see XRP has gone up about 72%. Now, when we compare that with Bitcoin, obviously, Bitcoin isn't usually one of those top performing coins anyway, but just to compare this, Bitcoin up 21%. We've got Ethereum here, taking it from June the 18th up till today's price. Ethereum is up 86%. So, I mean, XRP is on par with Ethereum. Let's bring up ADA, Cardano ADA here. June the 18th would be in and around here. And as you guys can see, the price of Cardano is only up 1.3%. So Cardano, not a great performing cryptocurrency. BNB coin here. Look, I already got the price tool up here. BNB coin is up 93%. So XRP is kind of falling in line with some of these coins. Outperforming, though, of course, is Dogecoin. Let's take a look at Dogecoin here. And again, these are just some of the top 10 coins. Dogecoin up 160%. Another coin that has fared quite well is Matic. And from that low down here all the way to today's price, Matic is up 312%. So we're getting a mixed bag. XRP kind of falling somewhere in the middle, not the worst performer, obviously not the best performer though. And today, just looking at the cryptocurrency market, we can see a relatively stable movement. We are seeing a little bit of a move to the upside, albeit not by much. So we have recently seen, a bunch of coins just kind of pump out of the blue. And this is symptomatic of what we generally tend to see at the beginning of bull runs. I don't know if you guys remember, but we kind of saw the same thing for the crypto market back in early to mid 2020. I would say. Here's Bitcoin on the daily. And after this Black Swan event triggered by the beer flu lockdowns, we generally saw little spurts, little pumps to the upside, followed by periods of reconsolidation. So for example, after this first Bitcoin pump, we did see about 70 days of consolidation before we saw that next move up. So this kind of thing is not unheard of, right? We saw that first XRP pump back at the end of September. And I mean, it's only been about 44 days and we're already starting to see a little bit of movement for XRP for some other cryptocurrencies. I'm fairly confident though that this is the beginning. I know it doesn't quite feel like it yet, but I guess time will tell. I want to keep moving on, guys. I saw this is kind of confusing to me. XRP Crypto Wolf brought this up. BitBoy apparently applied for a Ripple executive job in Singapore. I know, it's a slow news day. He tweeted this out, a short story inspired by Joel Katz. Starring Ben Armstrong and LinkedIn. Special thanks to XRP, Ripple Labs, Brad Garlinghouse, and of course, the XRP Army. So he just tweeted this out, demonstrating that he applied for this job, Director Strategy and Operations. And then just a screen grab here. Thank you for applying. I don't know why this is really making news, although it is making news. And so I thought I'd bring this to you guys on a Saturday, having a little bit of fun on the weekend. Gonna keep moving though. This is a tweet from Albright. Last night we hosted 2 wonderful panels about women in Web3 to celebrate our partnership with Ripple, which is all about empowering women and other marginalized groups to make waves in Web3. It was a great evening demystifying the space, and here are some highlights. So another example here of where Ripple promoting groups of people who I guess maybe traditionally wouldn't generally be in the cryptocurrency industry. I mean, we have seen a shift over the last, I guess we'll say, a decade or so, but it generally has been a male-dominated space. So they are promoting this, Web3 and women. The first panel was all about how and why we should build business in Web3. And to put it best, Somi Arian, when she said, with Web3, we have all the possibility of dialogue and ownership. So Ripple supporting the Albright Panel, which does support women and Web3. They go into a little more detail here about what that's all about. I will link this in the description if you guys want to read the full thing. Want to keep moving, guys. With regards to the lawsuit now, we heard that, the dates, the schedule has been shifted. James K. Filan giving us the official dates now, scheduling update as of November the 4th. So, guys, here are the new dates. If you guys have not caught them, I'm just going to go over them briefly. November 11th, deadline for any additional amicus motions. On the 30th, parties will now file summary judgment and reply briefs temporarily under seal. Also, just make note, too, that the page limit has been increased from 45 to 55 pages. On December the 2nd, parties meet and confer to identify redactions sought by each side. On the 5th, December 5th, parties file public redacted versions of the reply briefs. On December 22nd now, parties file omnibus motions to seal all materials relating to the summary judgment motions, including briefs from the Rule 56.1 statements and counter statements. And finally, guys, January the 9th, 2023, parties file oppositions to omnibus motions to seal. And making a note down here, motions to exclude expert testimony. The motions to exclude expert testimony, the Daubert challenges, are fully briefed, but issues regarding sealing the motions and the expert reports and deposition transcripts remain. I expect those sealing issues will be resolved as part of the summary judgment process and eventual ruling. So these now the official dates. I did mention them in yesterday's video, however, I thought I'd go over them again. Because everybody's paying attention to this. James K. Filan even sticking to his former prediction. He says, I am sticking to my prediction that District Judge Torres will decide both the expert motions and the summary judgment motion at the same time on or before March the 31st, 2023. So it's looking as though that is still the kind of drop dead date, the final date, assuming this lawsuit is going to go into Q1 of 2023. That is per James K. Filan. So I mean, we're almost closing out 2022. Boy, this year's just flown by. And he's sticking to his prediction, March 23, hopefully, crossing our fingers. Hopefully we will get a final verdict in the Ripple SEC case. Jeremy Hogan posting this. So Ripple SEC case is more complicated than a win or lose. So for those of you guys thinking in your head, I mean, this is going to be a black and white slam dunk win for Ripple. Guess again. So Jeremy Hogan just delivering the possible outcomes for the case. He says there are 4 ways a legal case is resolved. Number 1, dismissal, and we've already passed that stage. So really for us, it's settlement, summary judgment, or trial. The final resolution is trial, but any piece of a case can be resolved before that. He goes on to say down here, any piece, in quotes, of the Ripple case could be settled and the remainder left to be tried. Ripple has stated that it wants clarity for the XRP token moving forward, and that piece could be settled and the issue of Ripple's past sales could move forward to summary judgment or trial. So that is the biggest piece, I think, for Ripple, because even in the past, they've stated, look, we will settle so long as the XRP cryptocurrency has clarity. But the SEC, like a dog with a bone, doesn't want to give that up. Jeremy Hogan continues by saying, at summary judgment, the judge can rule on any piece of the case and leave the remainder for trial, e.g., the judge could rule that no sales of XRP after the implementation of Ripple's ODL use for XRP were securities, and everything prior to that will be left for trial. Another example, the judge could decide that all sales were securities and leave the issue of damages and scienter of the individual defendants for trial. Also, yes, the judge could rule no sales were of securities, and that covers all the pieces. Thought I'd throw that out there. Jeremy Hogan continues by saying, Ripple has requested that the fair notice defense issue not be decided at summary judgment, but left for trial. This would, of course, only occur if Ripple loses on the securities violation issue, or at least a piece of it. Point being, the Ripple case has at least 4 pieces to it that leads to about 24 different possible outcomes. So that is the important takeaway here with regards to, the legal technicalities, I guess, of the case. He says, no doubt things are looking positive for Ripple, but don't be surprised if the judge issues a ruling and it takes some time to figure out, did they win or not? Xerpsy down here saying, thanks, Jeremy. Would a jury trial be something the SEC would dread? Or would they enjoy the opportunity to drag this out more? Good question. Jeremy Hogan responding, the SEC definitely does not want the case to go to trial. So, I mean, considering how this has transpired, they definitely don't want it to go to trial, because if it goes to trial, I think that would be a slam dunk for Ripple. Ripple's got so much evidence on their side. And so the judge is now tasked with many different questions. The bigger question for us is, what pieces of the puzzle is she going to give clarity to? What's that going to mean for the XRP token, depending on what she says? And then there's all those other issues that probably don't really concern us. I mean, if Ripple has to pay a fine or whatever because of X, Y, and Z, that doesn't concern us. For us, it's just about clarity for XRP, and the price of XRP will obviously reflect that once we do get a decision. So an interesting update here, and I got to thank Jeremy Hogan, because I knew that this wasn't just going to be cut and dry. I knew, based on other legal cases that I've witnessed in the past, things don't necessarily tie up in a neat and tidy bow. So again, thanks to Jeremy Hogan just for posting that. Mike Manfield here posting this with regards to Pacera. Now, they just made an agreement with Ripple partner Airwallex. This agreement opens the gateway for Pacera's clients to send money to 149 countries and open IBAN accounts in 9 countries. Subashkim Zakiri, the vice president of Pacera Group and the person responsible for the partnership agreement, this is what he said: "We are very happy to conclude this agreement with Airwallex, which will enable us to provide additional services and options for our clients when it comes to international transfers. We have found Mr. O'Halloran and his team to be very proactive, and we strongly believe that our cooperation will go very smoothly. Pacera, together with all of its partners, will now provide even more efficient services and demonstrate a positive example in the international fintech industry." So just another example here of a company that is Ripple-enabled, Airwallex, partnering up with other companies to streamline payment services. Mike just down here also mentioning this: with over 1 million app installs and growing, Pacera aims to push the boundaries and become an industry-leading super app that provides financial and lifestyle services across the globe. So these guys realize, okay, there's a better mousetrap out there. Airwallex is one of those Ripple-enabled companies that is already utilizing RippleNet DLT technology, leveraging XRP, I'm sure, in certain countries. And so they're looking at that and saying, yeah, we want to be part of that. Let's form a partnership with them to be able to provide better services for our clients, and that's exactly what they're doing. So just one of dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds, I'm sure, companies at this point in time who are realizing the same thing. Jumping on board the Ripple train, guys. It started trickling in slow, and then by 2021 and 22, we have been seeing it grow by leaps and bounds. So wanted to thank Mike Manfield for posting that. I also saw this, guys, from the Wrath of Kahneman. At the end of the month, Carnegie, India will host a conference, Global Technology Summit, the geopolitics of technology. The cross-border payments discussion includes India's NPCI, which has worked with Ripple. So that's an interesting aspect to point out here. And the RMA of Bhutan, a Ripple CBDC client. So the RMA of Bhutan, Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan. We have 2 Ripple connections, obviously, here. Not only that, some of the speakers include the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We know they are also partnered with Ripple. And just a little bit about this: several inclusive real-time payment system models have been developed around the world, such as India's Unified Payment Interface, or UPI, Singapore's Pay Now, Brazil's Pix, and Kenya's M-Pesa. While countries are developing their own payment systems, interoperability between these different payment platforms are necessary to facilitate faster, cheaper, safer, and transparent cross-border payments, all hitting those points that Ripple does best. Wanted to thank Wrath of Kahneman for posting that. Guys, I also saw this coming from Matthew Lany, results from Swift's experiments interlinking CBDC networks and existing payment systems to achieve global interoperability. This came out just last month, October 22, connecting digital islands and central bank digital currencies. They're looking at some experiments here. Obviously, screen grab just to show the flow of one of the experiments they were doing. The bigger thing here, though, Swift and Capgemini. We know there is a Ripple connection to Capgemini. I talked about it in a video I did, I believe it was earlier this year. I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner. There are many possible design choices currently being explored by various central banks for the purpose of creating central bank digital currencies. As such, in our experiment, we implement 2 different DLT networks, Corda and Quorum. Just to make a note here, Corda is or can use XRP for transfers. They are XRP enabled to make those transfers to show the interlinking between different networks. In addition to the simulated CBDC DLT networks, a third mock RTGS network was also created to demonstrate a hybrid cross-border flow. This experiment showcases 2 high-level use cases, CBDC to CBDC, both Corda to Quorum and Quorum to Corda. That's a tongue twister. And RTGS to CBDC, RTGS to Corda. In addition to these standard flows, exception scenarios were implemented. So they are still testing. It is interesting to note this connection, though, the Capgemini Swift Ripple connection. Again, check out that video if you guys want to know more about that. I wanted to thank Matt for posting that. And another one from Matt here, guys, switching gears a little bit to Algorand. Algorand looks to see adoption in Africa. Now, Algorand funded this entire study, Africa Blockchain Report 2022, and one of the funding members, I think the only funding member here, was Algorand, the Algorand Foundation. Over here it says the Algorand Foundation is a nonprofit organization that has a vision for borderless, frictionless economy built on a public decentralized blockchain or blockchain technology. The foundation envisions a wide breadth of applications being built on the Algorand protocol by a new, broader community of blockchain and mainstream developers. The foundation is committed to facilitating this innovation in a sustainable and eco-friendly manner. So all those same talking points, funding this entire study, and I've got the document here, guys, if you want to read further. Not too much else to talk about with regards to Algorand specifically, but some of the things that they're talking about here for the entire continent of Africa. I think a lot of us tend to forget how big the African market is. Just because they've been underserved for so long. We've seen Ripple permeate parts of Africa with some payment companies, some smaller ones like Flutterwave as one example, but we're also seeing other blockchain companies like Algorand looking to get their foot in the door and really looking to take off in terms of adoption with this underserved continent. Bringing up the Algo token real quickly here, Algorand also performing fairly well, right now trading at about 43.7. And it's not one of those coins in the top 10, but even just from that low June 18th, let's see, it has gained about 57, 58%, not terrible. Also in the midst of an upswing. So that's great news to note there. Also, I gotta mention the official Ripple Twitter handle dropped this video yesterday. Traditional global payment systems are far from efficient. In this video, CEO Brad Garlinghouse details how we're removing barriers for crypto and business. Listen to what Brad says here, guys. Again, hitting those points home. The verticals, Ripple started with cross-border payments, but that's not the end.
Crypto is helping transform finance businesses today in a few different ways. And I think one of the challenges for the industry has been to focus on solving real problems for real customers. And Ripple, obviously, from its earliest days, focused on the problem around cross-border payments. That's a point of a lot of friction as measured by speed and cost. And by focusing there, we've been able to have a big impact on that, relatively small piece. But I think over the next years, you're going to see many financial transactions where a middleman sits, a middle transaction, an intermediary. Those will get removed, and we'll use blockchain and other digital asset type technologies to remove that friction. And I think all of society will benefit from improving the efficiency of those systems. I think you'll see that. Certainly, you've seen it in securities settlement as an opportunity. The financial transactions around bonds, around derivatives. A lot of these things take a while to settle, and the friction associated actually holds back the industry. Insurance is an industry I think you're going to see touched. Trade finance is an industry that really Ripple, some of our customers have invited us to participate in. And you've seen experimentation around identity in real estate and title management. And these are all examples where I think it's so hard to predict where this will go, in the same way that 25 years ago, when I first got involved in the Internet of Information, I never could have predicted on my smartphone I'd press a button and I'd have a car picking me up minutes later. I think this will permeate lots of different parts of our society.
So here we have Brad Garlinghouse essentially stating that removing the friction will help move all the money. And not just the money, he talks about even different industries too, like insurance as one example. Not only that, he was saying some of these companies, some of their clients have invited Ripple in to help them with, I think he was talking about TradeFi there, trade finance, removing the friction there. So it's going to be about removing the friction. Brad Garlinghouse essentially stating, we started with payments, but there are so many other ways. XRP and the XRP ledger can help move all the money. We're just waiting for that pesky SEC lawsuit to be cleared. So a great statement here from the CEO of Ripple himself. Meanwhile, at the Singapore FinTech Festival, guys, that was happening just over the last couple of days, the managing director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore said this about Singapore being a crypto hub. Okay, he's basically saying, forget about the speculation and the big moves. We are focused on real world utility, and this courtesy of Sento Sumo Saba on Twitter.
There is much more to the digital asset ecosystem than cryptocurrencies. The real value in the crypto industry comes not from speculating in cryptocurrencies, but from tokenizing assets and placing them on a distributed ledger for use cases that increase economic efficiency or enhance social inclusion. The question is often asked, does Singapore want to be a crypto asset hub? If a crypto hub is about experimenting with programmable money, yes, we want to be a crypto hub. If it is about applying digital assets for use cases like atomic settlement, yes, we want to be a crypto hub. If it is about tokenizing real and financial assets to increase efficiency and reduce risk in financial transactions, yes, we want to be a crypto hub. But if it is about trading and speculating in cryptocurrencies for its own sake, that is not the kind of crypto hub we want to be.
So making it very, very clear, the type of crypto hub that Singapore strives to be is that runs on real-world utility utilizing cryptocurrencies and DLT technology to solve real-world problems. The same things that was mentioned by Brad Garlinghouse in this video to hit that point home. Now, guys, remember back in, I think it was 2019, the Bank of Canada and the Monetary Authority of Singapore conducted this experiment. Jasper Ubin designed paper enabling cross-border high-value transfers using distributed ledger technologies. One of the partners was Accenture, who was one of the original Ripple VC funders. And so just to give you guys a little bit of context, we know the Bank of Canada and the Monetary Authority of Singapore do have ties with Ripple. And then in this paper, they did mention centralized or multi-sig notary schemes where a trusted entity or a set of entities trusted as a group is used to inform Chain X that a claim in Chain X is true. An example of this is the Interledger Payments Protocol by Ripple. So they mention Ripple as an example of this type of platform. Meanwhile, back in 2015, Ripple did publish this on their website, Future Proof Digitizing Singapore Banking for Cross-Border Payments. So you guys can see their ties with Singapore run deep. We've got the managing director for the Monetary Authority of Singapore basically stating real-world utility is the only way Singapore is going to be a crypto hub. At the same time, Brad Garlinghouse telling us how XRP, the XRPL, and RippleNet technology will remove friction from the ecosystem, thus allowing more independent agencies to be able to move all the money. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.